It's early February right now, and I thought it might be fun to talk about romantic dinners a little bit because, you know, the big day is coming soon, and I don't subscribe to the big day really at all, but I do subscribe to romance. Romantic dinners, they're great. Have one with yourself, have one with your partner, have one with your best bud. What makes a romantic dinner in the first place? I don't think it's like the cliched, you know, chocolate covered strawberries, especially because my partner happens to despise chocolate covered strawberries, so that is out. But also I think that's kind of cliche and boring. And to me, it's really not about the food. It's more about the company and the environment and the intention that you put into the time you spend together. So I took a poll of some folks online. I asked the New York Times cooking community that I'm a part of. Love that group. They're super happy to chime in with opinions, which is awesome. And I also asked my Instagram folks as well as my Facebook group. A lot of people said no phones, no screens. No phones, two people talking directly to each other for a couple of hours. Pretty much everyone agrees, no kids. What else? Low lighting, delicious food, great drinks. Oh, and a lot of people said wine. This is not actually wine, but you don't need to know that. I should just pretend. I just wanted to feel like we were part of it. So here you go, babe. Here's some wine for you. It's fake. It's just because it's daytime, but let's just pretend. Cheers. I'll put my phone away in a minute. Hey, go make your own romantic dinner. That's one of the answers. Any uninterrupted meal with the one you love. Yes. No kids. Necessary components are love, sparks, wine usually. Yeah, a lot of people are into the sauce for these romantic dinners. No phones, candles, conversations about the future. Fun. So I'd love to hear what your idea of a romantic dinner is. Drop it in the comments. For this Valentine's Day, I'm making something that we saw together actually on a YouTube video. We have a bit of a tradition of waking up on weekend mornings and watching cooking shows on YouTube together. And we saw this one by this guy named Alex, this French guy who I'd never heard of. And then I found his channel and it's like he's been going for a long time. But he went to Sweden to this amazing looking restaurant, and the chef there, I forget his name, I'll probably drop it, put it somewhere here. He seemed really, really cool. And he showed Alex how to make Swedish meatballs. And we were both like, oh, we want to eat those. And why have we never heard of this YouTuber before? Anyway, and we want to go to that restaurant in Stockholm. So there wasn't exactly a recipe, but there was a method shown on the episode. So I'm gonna do my best to make those meatballs tonight with a few accompaniments. So cheers. The main components of this meatball mixture was bread, white fluffy bread that was soaked in milk. So I have two, they're kind of like Kaiser buns that I tore up and soaked them in milk. You could use normal slices of white bread. I would say probably like 3 to 4 slices, maybe 4 is about right. And then just cover it with milk. You could even use water, but milk gives it that extra fatty moisture. And let it soak for about an hour. And then it just kind of falls apart into like a pulpy, bready mixture. So I'm starting with that. And then I have a mixture of beef and pork. They were using beef, pork, and veal, I believe. I find it kind of hard to find veal, and also I'm not like, I think beef and pork is good enough. So let me get a little thingy here. So this is about equal parts. So it's about 400 grams of ground beef and about 445. So, you know, pretty close to the same amount of pork. And I'm just gonna drop that in, get rid of this. So we got the milk, the bread, the meat, and then I took these onions and chopped them really finely. This was 1 medium onion, and then cooked it down on like a medium-low heat for probably 20 minutes or more. They did mention in the episode that it's important that the onions are caramelized because it adds a lot of sweetness to the meatballs, and I'm down for that. Oh, I gotta keep this spoon. So scrape those guys in. I'm using the stupidest tool ever, but whatever. It's not a stupid tool, it's just not the right tool for this particular job. Eggs. I'm gonna crack 2 eggs in. And then eggs are in, quite a big pinch of salt. I had salt in the onions as well. And then they added a few spices. They had allspice, cloves, and nutmeg. I'm actually just gonna use nutmeg and black pepper because that's all I have. And that's the way I like to operate. And I love nutmeg. So I'm gonna put quite a bit in. This is like half of this nutmeg ball. What do they call it? What do they call a nutmeg? Well, half of a nutmeg. Half a meg. Okay, that's good. The main thing about these meatballs that they showed in the episode was the technique for mixing them. So they mix the meat mixture quite a lot. Like it actually till the protein in the meat starts to kind of come out and it creates like a pate type texture. So I'm going to start by just incorporating the egg and bread mixture in so it's smooth. And then once it's kind of smooth, I'm going to basically whip it. I'm like beating it. Whew. Oh, so much exercise. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. Okay, so we got this hot pan. I'm gonna use a little bit of oil and a little bit of butter here. I definitely want the butter flavor, but I also want the butter to not burn. So the oil helps to bring the temperature of the butter. It kind of raises the burning temperature of the butter. All right, so that's cool. Now, we're gonna form some balls and get them in here. How exciting. You could dip your hands in water to make this not so gloopy. This is too hot. I don't personally care if my meatballs are perfect. So there's 2 of us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm gonna go with 10, that's 5 each. That's a lot, but I'm into it. While the meatballs are cooking, I'm just gonna make a little smashed potato side dish. So I have these new potatoes that I boiled earlier and I've let them cool. I think it's pretty important to let them cool if you're using this technique because it helps the starches kind of set up and they smash better, in my opinion. So get them all onto a baking sheet, get some olive oil, and just give them a little drizz. And then you just need to smash them. So it's up to you how you do it. You can use the bottom of the pot that you would just cook them in. That works pretty well. The other way you can smash them, if the pan isn't working that well for you, is to just use a little palm of the hand motif. That works amazingly well, actually. Just squish them. The idea here is to create opportunity for crispy bits. That's the whole point. So kind of cover them up with a little, you know, if there's any non-oily bits, just kind of oil them up. Grease those bad boys up. And then salt, lots of salt. I'm gonna use kosher salt, a good sprinkle on each one. The oil should make it stick, no problem. And then These guys are going into a 450 degree oven for probably 10 minutes until they get brown. It's up to you. If you're like me, you get a little bit impatient watching meatballs cooking in a frying pan. You just put them in the oven for a bit. The oven's already on because the potatoes are in there, so why the heck not throw these guys in too? Now the meatballs and the potatoes are both in the oven, and I'm gonna make a little cucumber salad. Watch your fingers when you're using a mandolin. I'm not gonna do much to this cucumber. I'm just going to put it in a bowl with some salt, quite a bit. We're basically making it like a little pickly, so a lot of salt, and some vinegar. I like apple cider for most things, so I'm gonna use that. Just a nice, quite a bit. So these meatballs are gonna be really rich, so it's nice to have vinegary, acidic things to go with. And I have some dried dill. So I'm just gonna give this a little toss, and that's it, really. So that can just sit on the side. So the meatballs are cooked. I've pulled them out of the oven, and I just basically finish them by tossing a little bit more butter into the pan, and then I'm going to put them on some plates. It's probably more romantic to put like 3, because, you know, it's sensible, but I'm gonna do 5 on each. And then I've got all these nice fatty, buttery drippings in the pan, and I'm gonna turn those into a little quick sauce. That's the part of Swedish meatballs I think that we all think of and that we all love so much, is that creamy sauce. So here goes some heavy cream. Just gonna cook it down till it bubbles up and thickens a touch, and give it a taste. Yeah, it'll be good. Okay, so other things I have to go with these meatballs. Braised red cabbage, which I personally just love so much. This is just red cabbage, a little bit of water, a little bit of cider vinegar, and some salt. And the cider vinegar makes the cabbage go nice and like turn that really nice purpley color. So the potatoes, they're done whenever you decide they're done. They could get really crispy in there, or you can just rush it like I'm doing. Get a couple of those bad boys on the plate. So this sauce is just about exactly where I want it now. It's kind of thick enough to coat the back of the spoon, but it's not running all over the place. Yum. Oh man, this looks good. I'm not afraid of sauce. I don't know about you. Can I get some comments from the sauce lovers watching? In Sweden, they would always, I guess, traditionally have this with lingonberry jam. We don't have lingonberries here. We probably have lingonberry jam. I think you can buy it at IKEA, but we don't have IKEA either, which is weird. So I took some sour cherries that were frozen, and I just cooked them for like 5 minutes in a pan with a little bit of cider vinegar. Again, I know it's like vinegar mania, but actually I should probably put it next to the meatballs. There's a lot of vinegar going on, and it's because it really helps to cut the fattiness of the meatballs. So it's just the way it is, all right? Sour cherries, yum. Okay. Last but not least, we'll throw some of this quick pickled cuke salad-y thing somewhere, if I can find room on the plate. Maybe here? Yeah. So that's it. That's my romantic dinner. I'm really excited to eat it. I think we'll put our phones away, turn the cameras off, refill our wine, and just stare into each other's eyes for a couple hours and eat this food. What do you think? Oh, I forgot to mention the number one thing that people said about Valentine's Day is sweatpants are mandatory. which I think after we eat these meatballs, we'll be happy to be wearing stretchy clothing. If you like this episode, hit the like button. And if you want to subscribe, please do. Happy dinner making, and I'll see you next week. Here, babe, you want to dig in?
Yes. That's what I thought.
This is good.